Hi everyone, welcome to episode 2 of The Well. Today I am going to be talking to you about food, my relationship with food, and some of the changes that I've made surrounding food, my history with it since I started even being more conscious about food. Where that began and where I'm at now. I'm going to be talking about our family choice to be a plant-based family and the reasoning behind making Lovewell plant-based. So this is a good one. I'm also going to read a snippet out of my favorite book, which is called The Art of Stopping Time. This is probably back to front for you. It's Practical Mindfulness for Busy People, and it's by Pedram Shojai. So I'm going to read a little snippet out of this surrounding how to make mealtime more of a ritual. I'm also sipping my green juice. I have a bit of a, I'm a creature of habit, and especially when I'm pregnant, for whatever reason, I like to get in the flow of a day, and I always do the same thing. So when I we wake up around between 7 and 7:30. I go upstairs and I make a Lovewell. I make one for myself and then I make one for the kids. So we start the day with Lovewell. That's always been how we drink Lovewell. Some people do it later on in the day. Some people do it at nighttime before bed. But we like to kickstart the day with Lovewell with a hit of nutrients. So that's the very first thing that we ingest. We have that. And then if the kids are still a bit hungry, we'll make oatmeal and chuck some cinnamon and berries and whatever in there. We go about our day. So what I do and what I've been doing is I have been having my smoothie first thing in the morning, and then I get in my car because I've been really enjoying driving my new electric car, because this year we're very focused on moving closer to becoming as sustainable as possible as a family. I go and get my Genuine, which is a green juice that I just really enjoy. So I know that I have my baseline of health in the morning. I start there, and then I'm just like adding. It's like building blocks. So I'm adding green juice on top. I get my avocado toast, and then I get a muffin, a vegan muffin. Every day it's different. I go down to Cafe Gratitude. I just love the energy of that restaurant. They're 100% vegan, and they also ask a question of the day, which is like, what are you inspired by today? Or how are you showing up for your community? And I really like the vibes. Everyone always rolls their eyes and like, that restaurant is so Teresa. So that's been my ritual surrounding my breakfast time. And I have such a connection with avocados. Avocados is something that I love eating them. I used to hate them, which is so funny. When I was younger, the thought of an avocado was disgusting to me as a child and as a teenager. I just thought it was so gross. And then Amber Tamblyn, who's an actress, made guacamole when we were in Japan filming this movie called The Grudge 2. And I was like, I guess I'll give it a go. I know it's the majority of it is avocado, which is not a food that I generally like to eat. And I was like, this is amazing. And then from that point on, I became obsessed with guacamole, avocado on everything. That is definitely, I think, one of my favorite foods. So anyway, I digress. Let's start from the beginning. When I was a young girl, I didn't eat my vegetables. I didn't like the taste of them. And also, to be fair, it wasn't really offered up a lot in my household. When I lived with my mum, we had food that we both really enjoyed eating. We would go to Hungry Jack's. We would have chicken parmigiana. We'd go get what they call in Australia counteries, which is you go to the pub, you'd sit up at the counter and you'd order a meal. And I would always get a chicken parmigiana and a side of olives. That was my random little quirk. Hi, B. Hello, lovely B. So that was just the way I ate. When I was younger, I'd go to Faster Pasta, which was this sort of cheaper Italian chain. sort of like Italian fast food. I guess the equivalent in America would be Olive Garden. And I would go and I'd eat this thing called ravioli Milanese, which is filled with beef and cheese and all sorts of different things that probably weren't very healthy, but I just didn't think about my health in any way. I was a kid, and then I was a teenager, and I could eat what I wanted, and I had an amazing metabolism, so I managed to stay thin, and I just had such a regular relationship with food. Then as I moved to Hollywood, which is quite funny because I will show you if you can see up there, I hope you can see, that is the Hollywood sign that you can see from our house. So I literally live in Hollywood now, live under the Hollywood sign. When I moved here, I was surrounded by all these people who had such an intense focus on exercise and food. And so then I kind of jumped on the bandwagon after I noticed that all my actress friends were going to the gym, they were eating really healthy, they had super clean diets, and I thought, oh, this is so boring. And at first I just came in, I ate my Subway, I had my McDonald's, that was just the way I ate. And then it got to a certain point where a comment was made about how I should be focusing more on healthy living. So I decided to look into it. I looked into nutrition. I started going to the gym a lot, and I ended up cultivating a very unhealthy relationship with food. It became very obsessive, and what I've self-diagnosed as orthorexia, which is essentially an eating disorder where you become very fixated on the calories going in and out, the cleanliness of the food, how clean eating you were doing. So for instance, I wouldn't eat white, anything that was refined, any sort of white breads, white rice. I felt like it was stripped of all its nutrients. Nothing fried. I didn't have processed foods. I only ate fruits, vegetables, and at the time, things like sushi. I was happy to have sushi. So I would just have a lot of protein in the form of fish. I was a pescatarian. I quickly became a pescatarian. I dropped eating meat. And everything was based around fish and some sort of vegetable or salad or whatever. And I would not use oil. I was very, very specific on how I was eating. And I had an app called My Fitness Pal, and I would enter in everything that I ate, and it would calculate my calories. And that is no way to live. But when you're in it, you don't realize how out of touch with reality you are. Until at some point, my friends said to me, it actually isn't fun going to dinner with you anymore. Because I would sit and I would ask the waiter, could you just like look up in your ingredients book, like how much oil is used in this one? What kind of oil? Is anything refined? Like, do you fry with oil, or could you use water? Could you please fry with water? And I remember I would make up stories in restaurants that I had certain allergies. So that just didn't seem crazy and so pedantic about the food I was eating. I was in my early 20s at that time, and I became incredibly skinny. I had like an 8-pack, but I was teeny tiny. My BMI was well underweight. I was working really hard. I ended up getting like cystic acne, like really large pimples on my forehead because my hormones were all out of whack. I lost my period for 2 full years because I was too thin. And I just, what I thought was health was actually the polar opposite to health, especially mentally and emotionally. To wake up and to have sort of anxiety and feelings surrounding my meal times, I got to the point where I realized, oh, this is not having a healthy relationship with my food. And I happened to be around other girlfriends of mine who were going through the same thing. And at one point, I remember my 2 other girlfriends who were on the exact same train I was on. We all said, we actually can't talk about food or exercise around each other because it's not healthy. So we put out that boundary with one another, and each of us in our own way cultivated a healthy relationship with food again. When I met Mark in 2012, he was vegan. And I was like, oh, I've always been vegan curious, but I love my cheese too much, and I love sushi, and I would call myself a seagan. That was my word for myself. I would eat things from the sea, but I wouldn't, at that point I was trying to take out dairy. So I was like, I'm a seagan. Eventually, we had a family discussion, and our son, Isaac, my stepson, was really passionate about being plant-based, and he gave us all the reasons why. And when Forrest was a baby, he was about 8 months old, we decided that we would try going vegan, the whole family. So we started doing it, and it just felt so incredibly aligned with every aspect of who I am. I'm such a big empath. Anyone would tell you that about me. I did a video with a mother the other day, an IGTV, which some of you may have seen, with this little girl called Aya and her mother. And Aya has a really awful disease that she's struggling with, and she's 16 months old. And I knew I was going to struggle to get through the interview. And I was just like, like I'm supposed to be the host. I'm supposed to be holding it down and creating the space for her to tell me her story. And as she was telling me her story, I'm just losing it. And so I've always been filled with so much compassion. That is who I am. It's who my mum is. I'm a really gentle soul. I'm sensitive. I'm an empath. And here's the thing. I love animals. I love animals. I think most people love animals. I haven't met anyone who doesn't love animals. I love dogs. I love cats. I love baby lambs. I love chickens. I would take my children to go to a petting place where you can hold a little guinea pig, or you can pat a goat, or you can feed a rabbit. But then there I was also serving up these animals to my children to eat. And there's where the cognitive dissonance came in. How can I go snorkeling, appreciate the beauty of these creatures in the water, in their natural environment, but then feel okay about the suffering that they go through just because I feel like eating fish? It's not for any health reasons. We don't need it anymore. That has been proven. We don't need to eat animal products. We just enjoy eating them. And I think for me, that disconnect is a thing that I really struggle with, especially when I see people really rooting for the environment and like, we're an environmentalist, but they're like, I also still like eating meat. To me, it just feels so contradictory. And I realized that I was living in contradiction because I was still enjoying eating animals from a selfish point of view. And then actually what I was doing was I was switching off the empathy when I was eating the animal. I wasn't looking at my plate and identifying this as one of the same animals that I love seeing in its natural environment, whether it be in the ocean or whether it be, at a little petting farm or whatever it is. And that was sort of this like inner turmoil I had until I realized I'm just going to lean into who I really am. Who am I truly? I am someone who loves animals. I don't want to cause suffering to any being on this earth. I also love the planet that I live on. It has been proven time and time again, and I think that's why we're seeing the rise in veganism now, that if we all just stop eating animal products, we can not only help the environment, we can reverse some of the damage that we have caused to this planet. And that's on us. And that's just making decisions day in, day out. And you can take baby steps. You can say, all right, I'm eating meat once a week and that's it. Otherwise, we are a plant-based family. And you can, let me tell you, you can get sausages and burgers and fries and all the things that you want, all the things that you enjoy as an animal eater. You can get all those things in the plant-based version. All right, I'm going for part 2 because we've just run out of time.